Point of View is sponsored by First National Bank. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show on television. Here on The Point of View, we pick the right topics, we get the right guests, and ask the relevant questions on things that matter to you. And we have a huge show for you tonight. The budget was read on Friday, and we're going to drill down for the common man to understand. Point of View is live and interactive. You can get in touch via the WhatsApp number on the screen. And it's brought to you by First National Bank. First National Bank, how can we help you? I'll tell you who my guests are as soon as we come back.
Okay, so it's a photo.
Look closer. Photos within photos.
What about video?
8K video. Beyond cinema quality.
So...
You can pull portrait quality photos straight from video.
But will it last the whole trip?
Battery for the whole trip and the way back.
This is different.
Told you.
So after over 3 hours of a budget, which was for the first time read by a non-finance minister, and over 200 paragraphs of economic jargon, we're here to break it down for you with two of my best economic buddies. Joe Jackson is the Director of Business Development for Dalex Finance. Joe Jackson, great to have you. Good evening.
Good evening. Good to be in
It's good to see you and fine fertile post-COVID.
Yes, so God is good.
All the time.
God is good.
Three times.
Because I had a tough battle with COVID, but I survived.
I tell you, and thanks for sharing your story. It was really inspirational.
Oh, thank you too.
We also have my good friend Toma Imi here, who's an economic journalist, and he's with the Gold Street Business and the Business Analyst. Toma, great to have you.
Good to be back, Bernard.
I see you are all masked up against COVID.
I'm scared out of my skin.
All right, guys. So what I wanted to do tonight was to break the budget down. I don't want to talk about fiscal rigidities. I don't want to talk about macroeconomic instability. I don't want to talk about all those big things. I just want to ask basic questions for us to understand the budget. So essentially tonight we're asking, so what is the budget? What are the main components? How much money is government looking for? Where do they hope to get the money from? What does it mean for your pocket? How much do we owe as a country? What are government's priorities as outlined in the budget? These are very simple questions. So let me start with Joe. So look, let's talk about this thing. Every year we read the budget, right? What essentially is it? Can you give me a simple SS1 breakdown of the activity that happened on Friday? What it is?
Actually, the budget is actually, like you said, take away the fancy terms. It's very simple. How much money is coming in? Mm-hmm. So I show where it's coming from and how it's coming in, how I plan to spend it. And most important, what has happened to this country in the last year and going forward. Okay. So has it been a good year? Have we grown? Where are we going? Those are the issues.
So how much government received? Where are we going to spend it? And what happened in the economy?
That's all.
Wow. So revenue is what they mean. Where are we going to get the money from? That's revenue.
That's revenue.
And then expenditure is how we're going to spend it.
How are we going to spend it?
And then what happened? So that's the macroeconomic performance. That's what we've done in the past year.
Yes.
So budget is basically revenue, expenditure.
That's all. Take an ordinary person. The budget is, what salary am I getting? Am I getting some back to factor it all in? And then what am I spending the money on? Life is easy.
Thomas, is it that simple?
a key addition to what Joe has just said is because we always spend more than we get. So a key addition to what is expensive to the budget is how much we are going to borrow in addition to what is coming in order to finance the expenditure we're going to make. Because that has very serious implications for the economy.
Oh, so revenue, expenditure, debt.
How much we are going to borrow.
Yes. And how did we grow? What did we do?
You are making it complicated now.
No, it's not complicated.
How did we grow?
How did we grow? This year, did you manage to save some money? Mm-hmm. Did you build a house? Did you get a new car? Right? And as Thomas said, where did you borrow the money from?
Okay, so let's take it one by one. How much money is government looking for? So in this budget, are we told how much government is looking for?
We are.
And are we told where we are going to get the money from?
Yes, we are.
Can you show that to me?
Yes.
So the first component of the budget is how much money we need. This is it, right?
Yes.
So we're looking for how much?
We're looking for a total of 72.15 billion.
This is the revenue we are going to get.
We are expecting to get. It's an estimate.
But we will spend more than this, right?
Yes, but
So this is the revenue.
This is how much is coming into my pocket.
So the first line up there is what? Tax.
Tax is 53.63 billion. Cedis.
And then what is non-oil?
Non-oil is the other little things where they bring money. It's not a lot. It's just 7.08.
And then oil is oil revenue.
Oil revenue.
What is ESLA and NHL?
ESLA, you know the bonds we put out for ESLA and for NHIL, National Health Insurance. That put together gives us 4.85.
So in total, our revenue...
Then we get they're expecting to get some grants, 1.47 billion.
But our total revenue projection is 72.4 billion.
Correct.
How much are we hoping to spend?
Over 113 billion.
113 billion to spend.
Yes.
But we'll raise 72 billion.
Yes.
What's the difference between the 113 and 72 called? Is that the deficit?
That's
how fiscal deficit.
That's the fiscal
deficit.
That's what it means.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at the breakdown of the expenditure. Then I'll come back to the revenue. We are spending 35 billion on interest.
Yes.
What's the meaning of that?
The money we've borrowed, we have to pay interest on that money. 35 billion is to service the debt, pay the interest.
Not the principal.
Forget the principal. We are not talking about principal now.
35 billion.
35 billion. In fact, interest payments are the single largest item in our budget. Imagine, Bernard, that you earn 1,000 cedis. And out of the 1,000 cedis, just the payment to the bank that you owe and Coke and Co.
Let's stay with
it's 490,000.
We are looking to spend 113 billion. And we are spending 35 billion, which is about a third on interest payments.
It's more than a third.
So interest payments is the largest component of our expenditure. Is this the first time this is the case?
No, it's not.
We've done this before.
We've done it before. It has become a serious problem. The fact is that, as Joe just pointed out, payment of servicing our debt is the biggest single component of our expenditure. It is why we can't do more roads. It's why we can't do more schools. It's why we can't do more hospitals, and so and so and so. It's why we can't take on more public sector workers. The whole reason is that so much of our debt, so much of our revenue is going on debt servicing. Now, put yourself, for your viewers, put yourself like you're a salary earner, and you earn 1,000 cedis a month, and you are spending somewhere between 400 to 450 cedis on paying money you took from the bank, a salary loan. So you're left with just 550 cedis out of 1,000 cedis to spend.
No, that does not include the principal. That's a very important.
No, that doesn't. We're just about the service of the debt. It's just interest. It's just interest.
So
that is why now, when your wife or your kids come and say, Dad, I want to replace our television, you can't afford to do it. That is why when your car breaks down, you can't afford to repair it. That's what it's because almost half the money is going on debt. Now, what happens?
And this is both domestic and external debt.
Both domestic and external debt. But when it comes to the money going out, it doesn't matter whether it's domestic or whether it's foreign. You have to pay. So we hide behind some silly ratio called public debt to GDP, which is the figure we always refer to when we're analyzing the level of our indebtedness. We compare the amount of debt we have as a ratio of the value of the economy, which is neither here nor there. But it's simple. Look, as I said, let's go back to this idea of you're a salary earner who has taken a bank loan. If you are calculating your level of debt, how comfortable you are with your debt, would you compare your debt with the value of the things you have in your house, or would you compare your debt, the money you are spending on paying the debt, with your salary?
So let's go back to the expenditure breakdown. We are looking at 113 billion. We are spending 35 billion on interest payments. That's a long line in the middle.
Yes.
We are spending 30 billion on salaries.
Yes, single spine.
Is this what you mean by recurrent expenditure?
Yes.
So this is every year. So this is not investment into a project.
No.
This
The
is
two
salary.
items are not investment into any project.
Okay. So that's 30 billion. So about 65 billion into interest and salaries.
Yes.
What's the next biggest item? Government units.
The amount of money that is being given to the ministries and departments
And agencies.
to run the government. It costs us 18 billion. It is the third highest item.
How much are we spending on roads and infrastructure?
Now bear in mind that this 18 billion does not include the salary. So
Salary is different.
salary is different.
So salary is for government workers, teachers, nurses, doctors, and all these people. Then 18 billion for government units, MDAs.
For running the office.
Look,
For the operations.
by the time you take out the money we used to service debt and the money to pay workers, all your revenue is gone. Everything else you
How
have
much is your
spent
revenue?
borrowed.
72. So 35 plus 30 is 65. So essentially, your top two line items take over your revenue.
Yeah.
It's over.
So nothing for roads.
There's nothing for unless you go
Nothing
and borrow
for-
more, which is what we do.
And let's be clear here. Even our best guess is that we are spending only 11 billion on infrastructure.
Wow. 11 billion for infrastructure.
Roads,
Bridges.
hospitals, bridges, everything you can think of.
Wow. Then you have services, 6 billion. What is services?
Services are all the little things we do. Somebody's going for training, somebody's traveling. All those little
Really?
things. Yes.
6 billion.
6 billion.
Then something called others.
That one is unclassified. It's a
8.4 billion.
as my fancy people say, everything is there. Mixture of things. Remember, that is where a security vote will come. That is where others, all. Where
This is what they refer to as miscellaneous.
Yes, thank you.
8.4 billion. Then arrears. What's the difference between arrears and interest?
The money we owe that we haven't paid, the contractors, we said this year will clear 3.7 billion.
Wow. So after this is serious. So you're saying the fiscal deficit is defined as the difference between your expenditure and your revenue. Your revenue is 72, your expenditure 113. So you have another 28 plus 13, almost 40 something billion in fiscal deficit.
Yes.
Amazing. So far so good. All right. Let's go. So Ghana is broke.
Ghana is flat broke.
We broke for a long time.
And it's getting worse.
But I'm told that even rich countries have deficits. So what's the problem?
You see?
That's what they say. Like, if you look at the budget deficits of the top countries, US, Japan, Australia, UK, they have huge deficits. And we, the developing countries, our deficits are even small. So what's the problem?
I'll tell you what the problem is. When you look at the US,
Yeah.
the US borrows, so the US debt is higher than the size of its economy. The difference is that the US only spends 10% to 11, it's gone up to about 12% now, of the money it makes to service that debt. Can we show the slide of how broke we are? You see, 72% is 72.45 is what we are getting billion. Interest payments 35.86 is 49.50% of the money we are making.
So all the taxes government collects plus grants it gets, half of it goes into interest payments.
Thank you.
Hey,
That
10% goes.
That is the problem.
and what's the American equivalent?
10%, 12%.
So we can't compare ourselves and say they have a deficit, so we should have a deficit.
No.
Hey, half of our revenue goes into interest payments.
Yes.
Even Nigeria, we talk about how it's a messed up country, everything. Their ratio is about 30.
30 years.
It's about 30%.
Hey, then we are hot.
We are very, very hot.
We are in trouble.
And it's getting worse every year.
Now, add
This 49 figure is increasing.
Look, less than
This-
how many years ago this figure was about 40%.
yes.
It's now 50%.
Now it's 50%.
You know, you and I have sat here and we used to talk about 3 line items, adding up to everything. Now we've dropped it. It's now 2.
2 line items.
Yes.
So the second one is compensation, salaries.
Salaries, single spine. Money.
30.3 billion,
Yes.
which is 41%.
Thank you.
I see, but the problem is that the structure of our economy, of our society, the way we think, will make this figure keep getting worse until the day people decide not to lend us anymore. We will always be willing to take more for the simple reason you're in government. If you don't do this, that, people will say you are not performing and they will vote you out. So what you do is that you borrow the money, but you make sure you borrow it long term in such a way that the payment will not fall due until long after you have left power. It becomes somebody else's problem. So when you now go and to issue Eurobonds over 20 years time, even the president probably now will be dead. It is somebody else's problem. But what the catch is that, but while you are there, you are borrowing to make it somebody else's problem. People who came before you, what they have borrowed is now maturing, and that is your problem.
We need to take a break at this point. This is serious. This is a point of view. I'm even feeling cold. We are trying to discuss the budget. And I tell you, it's serious. Half of the money we raise is used to pay for interest, not even principal, just interest on our loans. And then if you add the compensation, over 90% of our revenue goes into just 2 line items. This is serious. My guest, Tom Aimi here, and Joe Jackson. We'll be right back.
Good Day Energy Drink keeps you going. Available in major supermarkets and shops near you. Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to caffeine. This advert is FDA approved.
Fellow Ghanaians, the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service and partners are introducing a vaccine against the deadly coronavirus. From March 2021, Ghana begins a free national vaccine rollout for all persons 18 years and above, starting with healthcare workers, government officials, security services, the aged, and persons with underlying conditions. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe, effective, and has been tested and approved by the FDA. Please remember, the vaccine is an additional preventive measure, so all existing protocols must continue. Let us continue to wear our face mask, frequently wash hands with soap under running water for at least 20 seconds, or sanitize often and practice social distancing. Stop the spread. Get vaccinated against coronavirus for additional protection and prevention. This message is from Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service and partners. This advertisement is FDA approved.
Do not drop the awareness. The fight is still on. Constant disinfection is still very pivotal in the fight against COVID-19. Call an expert today on 020-300-4055 or 050-126-5426 to ensure your space is disinfected.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight we're trying to understand the 2021 budget using very simple English. My guest Tom Aimi here from the Go Street Business and Business Analyst, and of course Joe Jackson from Dalex Finance. So far we've been told that the budget is simple 3 things: revenue, expenditure, and then how the economy performed. But it's also revenue, expenditure, and debt. And we are hoping to raise about 72 billion cedis this year. We are hoping to spend 113 billion. So we have a fiscal deficit of about 40 billion. How are we going to finance the deficit? That's another question for the day. The other issue we found out is that our top 2 line items, interest payments and compensation, is almost 90%. In fact, more than 90% of our revenue. So we are broke. Let me just put the broke thing again up so you see where we are. The country is hot, and it's getting worse from all the 2 of them are saying. So this is where we are. We are broke. Good. Now, we want to raise 72 billion. Where are we going to raise it from? What's the... Okay, so here we are.
Yeah.
So this is for those who just tuned in. Total revenue and grants, 72 billion. Interest payments, 35 billion. That's half of how much you are raising. Compensation, salaries, 30 billion. So 90% of your revenue is going into just 2 things. You haven't added roads, you haven't added services, you haven't added
how much you give to the government departments to run.
Nothing. So if we don't borrow, we can essentially only pay interest and salaries.
Yes.
If we don't borrow money, we can only pay interest and salary, which is why they say every government borrows.
Yes. But hold on here. Because now, one of the things people worry about now is this. Those who are lending to us say, but if I'm giving you money and you're spending 50% of your income just in paying the interest, should I be giving you more money?
What's their problem? Are they the same people who borrowed from? Isn't it a different...
No, it's not. Here's how it works. I don't want you to default, because if you don't pay, I'm in trouble. My money is stuck. So as a prudent person who is lending, who expects you to pay back, says, hey, you reach 50. You have now reached a very dire situation because all your money is going into paying the interest. Maybe I shouldn't be giving you more money because there's a higher risk
check this out,
that you won't pay.
Yeah.
And that is why they say we are debt distressed.
But as a matter of prudence, if you watch carefully, banks, in fact, all banks, as a matter of prudence, will not give you a salary loan on which your payments are more than 40% of your salary that is paid through the bank. You know that. Virtually every bank does it. The ratio is 40%. You can't, if your salary is 1,000 Ghana, a bank will not lend you more money than
400.
Where I'm in a situation where you're
paying
paying 400.
But you can't pay
more than
400
a month from your salary.
But we're at 49.5%.
Wow.
In other words, if Ghana was the individual and our creditors were the bank, they wouldn't agree to lend us like that. They wouldn't
I have another question. Every finance minister I've interviewed, and I've interviewed quite a few, has told me that they are exchanging bad term debt for better debt, as in they are improving the quality of our borrowing. I've heard that from at least 3 finance ministers.
Yeah.
If that's the case, how come the percentage of our revenue we are spending on pay interest is going higher?
If they hadn't done that, it would even be higher than the 49.5. It would be around 70, 80.
Yes, let me explain it. Let me put it in plain terms.
Wow.
If Ghana government came to Dalex,
you won't give them money. But don't people buy treasury bills from them? You all buy treasury bills now.
We buy treasury bills. We buy treasury bills because we are mandated to buy some amount of our money to be kept in treasury bills. But Ghana government, It's not that simple. We've borrowed a lot. And the problem, you see, now, let's be clear. The problem is not that we borrowed more than 76% of our GDP. The problem is that our ability to repay that debt is tight.
Which I keep asking. You're saying that the finance minister keeps telling us that. Setekwe told me this. Ken Ofrata also said the same thing. That, they are getting better terms. But now we are going to the bond market. And we are doing, I remember the first guy who went to the bond market was Banredu. Mm-hmm. I think it was 2007.
Yes.
And it was supposedly a success. How does going to the bond market become a success? Is it not even worse? Because there are concessionary loans you get from World Bank and IMF and things. But if you go to the bond market is more like a very serious, there's no concession there. Mm-hmm. So how does going to the bond market prove that we are getting better terms for our
because the concessionary loans have dried up since we became a middle income country by rebasing our economy and using sleight of hand to increase the size of our economy through some voodoo mathematics. Since then, we no longer qualify for those concessionary loans we used to take. That is one.
So it means that the bond market terms are worse than the concessionary
The second thing is this.
They have to be.
The second thing is this.
But why are they telling us that we are getting better debt?
But the second thing is this. When you take concessionary loans, the people who are lending you money, they are giving you concessionary terms because they want to help you. So because of that, they will insist that you spend the money on something which is very productive, which is useful. They can now tell you that, no, we won't agree to give you this cheap money if you're going to use it on this, that. But if you're going to use it on that, which is clearly in your benefit, then we'll do it because you're trying to...
That's for concessionary loans?
Yes.
But when you go to the bond market, they don't tell you.
It doesn't matter. So far you can pay back.
So
they don't care.
You can pay back.
So it's not true
which
that...
is convenient.
But I'm just saying that then it's not true that we are exchanging worse term debt for better terms.
No. Let's also be clear.
We said we are reprofiling our debts.
Yes.
So it's just the term. So they are reprofiling the time.
And the interest rate.
But the quality of a debt is the rate and the time.
Yes.
So they are extending the time
and reducing the rate.
So on paper it's correct.
It's correct.
But it's still, you see, there are two things that are happening. There's old debt, which you can reprofile and make better. But there's still a lot of debt being accumulated. Each year for the last 4 years, we've added on debt. Each year for the last 8 years, we've added on debt. Each year for the last 12 years, we've added on debt. And I could go on and on and on. What does this mean? It means that every time you add on debt, the interest payments become an albatross around your neck. Let me tell you why it's an albatross. There's a difference between I gave you 25,000 and you bought an Uber vehicle and you're using the vehicle. When the money comes, it helps to pay the 25,000. Then when the 25,000 came to you, you didn't buy the Uber. You chopped some small, gave some side chick some 5,000, right? And then you decided that I will only invest 10,000. That's a whole corruption element. When it's time to pay, you will find that your income has not gone up. Because when the money came, you chopped some and you gave some to your side chick who didn't pay back. Okay. And there was only
let's look at what government said in the budget on public debt. I'll put this up on the program. So in 2016, our debt stock was 122 billion. Mm-hmm. It's now 291.6 billion.
Exactly.
In 2016, it was 56.9% of GDP. It's now 76.1. You're saying these percentages don't mean much.
The percentages don't worry me much. If we had used the money for the right thing.
Let me tell you what they use the money for. What accounted for our 2020 debt stock, according to government, again, I'll put it up. 197 billion fiscal impact of COVID. 21 billion cost of financial sector cleanup. 12 billion cost of excess capacity charges paid to IPPs. So 197 plus 21 plus 12. Or is it 19.7? I'm not sure. So those are the three components. Yes, sorry, 19.7 for fiscal impact of COVID, 21 financial sector cleanup, 12 excess capacity. So you put the three together, probably about 50 billion.
Forgive me. Last year was an extraordinary year. Last year we had to borrow. This year we may still have to borrow because of COVID. So when you use last year as an example,
it's not a good example.
It's not a good example. Go back to 2017. Go back to 2018. Go back to 20.
So the government said again in the statement, they said the rate of debt accumulation, they give records. In Kufuor's time, it was 30%, increased by 30%. Between 2008 and 2012, increased by 269%. This is government information. Between 2012 and 2016, increased by 243%. Now, according to this government, the rate of debt stock has risen by 137%. So we shouldn't be that worried compared to what happened in the previous administrations. Again, I'll put that up.
Time out.
You don't agree?
That one is political talk. That one, it doesn't make any... You think the person who's lending it, you cares who increased the debt and who didn't increase the debt? This is just political talk of equalization and partisanship. It makes no difference. Please, put that one aside.
Okay.
Deal with the fact that today, we spend this 30... How much million? 50% of our revenue.
And that is the issue.
That is the
So, Tom, I also don't think the issue of rate of debt accumulation is as important as the debt stock.
Look, first of all, please, let's get something straight. This is simple mathematics, all right? If you owe 10 million, all right, and you borrow 5 million,
it is
all right,
50%.
that is a 50% increase on your debt. If you are owing 100 million, and you borrow 5 million,
it's only 5%.
That is 5%.
So
the mathematics alone makes it such a way that you owe the debt accumulation.
Unless you are going
simple mathematics.
Okay, let's talk about how
doesn't
government,
make any sense.
How government hopes to raise revenue. So we are raising 72. 72 is not enough. We are going to borrow the rest to make up. We'll go for bonds and things. But this is where the taxes issue comes in, right? The government mentioned 5 main tax they were going to impose. We're going to examine that one by one. There's something called the COVID-19 health levy, a 1% increase in NHIL, 1% increase in VAT flat rate. Second one, they call sanitation and pollution levy of 10 pesos per litre on fuel. Third one, energy sector recovery levy of 20 pesos per litre on fuel. Tom, I'll come to you on this. Fourth one, financial sector cleanup levy of 5% on profit before tax of banks. And then there are two more. First one that confused me was third one, energy sector recovery levy. When I look at the fuel price build-up, where we have an energy debt recovery levy, and then we also have an ESLA bond levy.
And there's a new one now.
So why do you have... Because energy debt recovery levy is energy sector debt. ESLA is energy sector levy debt. So why are you now adding... So it's the same energy sector and 3 different taxes on petroleum?
That's what they call the low-lying fruit. It's easiest to collect. It's a consumption tax.
Am I missing something here? So is it the same energy debts that they are trying to pay with 3 different taxes?
Yes, basically.
Let me tell
and this is 20 pesos per litre.
Yes, let me tell you. Total is now 20 plus 10 for the pollution.
So 30 pesos.
What is now referred to as the Bola tax is 30 pesos. That is 5.7% increase in your fuel price.
We already have fuel. Petrol is 5.43. 5.4.
Okay, 5.4
per litre.
Per litre. So
and you're going to add 30 pesos.
You're going to add you're not. Yes, you're going to add 30 pesos.
So that's taking you to 5.7.
Yes,
per litre. Wow. So this is the figure we had for second week in March. 5.5 for diesel, and then 5.4 for petrol. This is the bottom row in the 2 columns. So 1st to 11th March, 5.4. 1st to 11th March for diesel, 5.5. And you're going to add 30 pesos. So you're going to 5.7. Wow.
Yes.
Now, go back to the previous slide. I wanted to show something. Go back to the previous. I wanted to just discuss the taxes. Which of these makes sense, which of the 2 don't. So go back to the previous slide, please. Yes. Talk COVID health levy. 1% increase in NHIL, 1% increase in VAT flat rate. How serious is this? And who will bear the brunt of this?
Everybody.
everybody's going to pay for it.
It's the consumption tax. As long as
Let me tell you what my problem with these taxes are. You see, when you impose a consumption tax, right, it hits the poor harder than it hits the rich.
Okay.
Because what happens? As a percentage of my income, I have to admit, I'm one of the blessed people in this country. Fuel does not constitute that important. When you go down the bottom of the ladder, transportation to work and back is a major headache. Every CD increase causes you more trouble. So that, and it affects everything and everybody. The cost of food, the cost of drinks, the cost of everything.
So this NHIL and VAT flat rate is everybody.
It's everybody. Fuel is everybody. Unless you don't move from your house. Once you move from your house, you're either buying it into your car or you're taking.
So what you're saying in economic jargon is that indirect taxes are more retrogressive than direct taxes. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So if government wants to help poor people, they should tax property and they should tax higher income people.
They should tax wealth.
They should tax wealth, not tax petrol and VAT and those things.
Now here's where.
So this is retrogressive.
Definitely.
You agree?
Everybody's paying the same tax.
Everybody's paying the same tax. Whether you are
paying the same tax.
Everybody pays the same tax
on the consumption tax.
So how is this a smart way of doing it?
It's an easy way.
But I thought the government said in 2018 that they were going to move the economy from taxation to production.
It hasn't.
So we've gone back to taxation because this is what you're saying is that this can be productive. This is counterproductive.
Yes. That's exactly.
No, I'm quoting the government. You were there when he said it.
Yes.
That we are moving the economy from taxation to production, but we've gone back to taxation.
There's a very nice quote that said, even the politicians, when they tell you something, they are shocked when you believe.
But there's something hold on. Fine. Again, I remember President said all national identification card holders will have TIN numbers.
Yes.
And they will be given slate numbers. Yes. So we're going to jump from about 2 million people on TIN to 15 million. I thought I was preparing the grounds for some sort of income taxes which will be based on your level of income.
Yes.
If that's the premise, why are we going back to indirect taxes?
Well, let me explain this today.
Okay, you take your bite because I want to take a bite from this issue.
Government has put in place structures for bringing in the informal sector into the tax net. You know, tax identification number, digital addressing, the Ghana card and all that, all right? So the idea is that they could have done this thing earlier. But, political reasons, they didn't want to do this thing before the election. They needed to be re-elected. And if you start taxing the informal sector before election, you're going to lose votes. So they decided to wait till after the election. Now, it's time now, they are now ready to implement it. GRA feels that now they have the opportunity, which is why GRA was saying that they can achieve 60 billion this year. The government has put 53 billion for tax revenue target. GRA was saying, look, we can do 60 billion. But of course, government is aware of the fact that it's wanting to have the structures in place to bring the informal sector into the tax net. The structures are there. But it's another thing to do it in such a way that you will not bring people dragging, screaming and kicking and hating you forever. Then now you're going to have to start paying taxes. So government knows that it's going to take time to actually implement it. It's not something that can be done overnight. So they've brought in these levies because government needs money now. Government needs money today. So the idea is these temporary levies have been brought in to show up the income while they are gradually rolling out the new structure where even people who sell mangoes on the side of the street will pay something or the other as income tax based on the framework they have been working on since 2017.
So this is for the future. But for now, the money they need, they have to collect.
They have to use the levies to get it for now.
Why aren't they taxing? I remember I interviewed your colleague, your friend, Ken Thompson, and he was sitting in this chair. He said he wrote to his assembly and said, come and collect property tax. They didn't come.
Yes.
He wanted to pay. He was looking for someone to pay. They didn't go for it. It's been 4 years since they came. They haven't still done it.
Property tax is a wealth tax. It's direct. Think about it.
But direct tax is better assured. They don't want to take it.
Yeah, but it will affect, the first people will affect are the people who make the policies.
Take this to parliament.
They are telling them to come and
this
they
to
should tax
parliament.
themselves.
Everybody in parliament.
Then you are saying that the government is working in bad faith. You're basically saying that we can't trust
You said
You're telling me that government doesn't have money. They need to tax property, but because some of them own property, they don't tax it. Is that what you're telling me?
That is exactly
that
what I'm
is it.
saying.
That is exactly it.
It is the vocal minority that government is afraid of. It is also easier to call a few oil companies and collect the money from them than to come after Toma, come after Joe Jackson, come after Bernard Avle, and all the myriad of people who may own a vehicle.
Who owns the property? It's not the same people who would enforce the property tax. It's like asking them to come and forcing themselves, like insisting that they should
their
pay.
rules. When you collect rent, you must pay tax. Is it paid?
I don't know.
Thank you. When you transfer any asset, you must pay tax. Is it paid?
I can't tell.
When you register land, you put in your TIN number, but it is to fulfill righteousness because nobody will ask you any questions.
Wow.
When you are going for COVID relief, they say put in a TIN number. So people rushed, got TIN numbers. First of all, they were not even told why they were getting the TIN numbers. They think TIN numbers are tied to getting COVID relief, instead of TIN numbers being a tax issue that you must pay tax.
I need to take a break. This is serious. Today's show is very serious. My guest, Toma Mihere and Joe Jackson, will take a short break. When we come back, it's not supposed to be all doom and gloom. We have some tax relief, so we'll examine them to see. Yes, we'll do the tax relief. But Thomas says wants to say something. We'll come back. This is the point of view. Stay with us.
Bonsoir, monsieur. Madame. Et voilà.
Babe, what is this?
This is the escargot. The foie gras. Oui. Where did she go? You pa one casa who say obase your pay feedian. Eh?
It's been long since you ever felt like this.
Welcome to the best in Ghanaian entertainment on Akwaba Magic. Efie. Welcome home to Akwaba Magic on DSTV channel 150. It's your moment. DSTV.
Good Day Energy Drink keeps you going. Available in major supermarkets and shops near you. Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to caffeine. This advert is FDA approved.
Fellow Ghanaians, the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service and partners are introducing a vaccine against the deadly coronavirus. From March 2021, Ghana begins a free national vaccine rollout for all persons 18 years and above, starting with healthcare workers, government officials, security services, the aged, and persons with underlying conditions. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe, effective, and has been tested and approved by the FDA. Please remember, the vaccine is an additional preventive measure, so all existing protocols must continue. Let us continue to wear our face mask, frequently wash hands with soap under running water for at least 20 seconds, or sanitize often and practice social distancing. Stop the spread. Get vaccinated against coronavirus for additional protection and prevention. This message is from Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service and partners. This advertisement is FDA approved.
This looks different.
It is. See for yourself.
Okay, so it's a photo.
Look closer. Photos within photos.
What about video?
8K video. Beyond cinema quality.
So...
You can pull portrait quality photos straight from video.
But will it last the whole trip?
Battery for the whole trip and the way back.
This is different.
Told you.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight, we're trying to speak the common man's language in Understand the 2021 Budget, presented by Osechi Mensah Bonzu on Friday. My guest, Tom Aimi of the Business Analyst and the Go Street Business, and of course, Joe Jackson of Dalex. I wanted to just wrap up on the tax things. So there are 5. Just put them up again. I just want to ask a couple of questions. Which of them will cause the most problem? Clearly, 20 pesos per liter on fuel is bad.
Fuel is bad.
SPL, Bola tax
is bad.
What about? But I think the financial sector cleanup levy 5% on post profit before tax. This can't be that bad.
But there's a moral issue.
What's the problem?
There's a moral issue. You see, some people misbehave. Then you have to take money to go and bail them out. Then you don't collect that money. Then those of us who walk the straight and narrow
and did the right thing,
you say we should pay for them.
Pay for the bad people.
Guys,
it's wrong. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
It's not. There's nothing wrong with the tax per se. It is a wealth tax, so it is a targeted wealth tax. But there's a moral issue.
Effectively, people are being punished for doing the right thing.
And so, you say what? Those who did the wrong thing, nobody has been
exactly.
But their assets were taken and sold and things like this.
How much money? They've collected less than 10% of the money.
Chairs and tables, the money they stole and used to buy properties under fictitious names of their family and friends, those things are still lying there. We're not making any attempt to chase them and sell those properties.
I challenge you. That's where the money has been collected, not more than 10%. So now,
wow,
we are all there. Some people go and smoke weed in secondary school. Some people don't smoke.
Okay.
When the ones that go and smoke come, they are hungry. So the government says, oh, let's make sure we pay. Let's give them some food. So they give them some food. Then they don't collect their food back. Then they say, those of you who didn't go and smoke weed,
we'll give you, use your food too.
That is it.
Is that a perfect analogy?
That is exactly what is happening. That's exactly what is happening.
There's nothing wrong with the tax. It's just there's a moral issue.
Exactly.
You spent 21 billion. Have you even recovered 2.1 billion?
But don't forget,
and they're working in
the
town.
People you are asking, the people you are not asking to pay that tax are aware of the fact that government has not done all that is necessary to recover the money.
But some of them said they were paying back. I remember there was a story that 1 or 2 of them said they were making some payments.
Listen.
So what's your point? The government should go for their assets. But there's court cases, right? You can't just go, you are in a law and order society. You can't just go and say, well, yes, you were overseeing a bank that collapsed, so we're going to seize everything from you.
The court case has taken how many years?
The wheels of justice grind slowly.
A lot of the money is
but
gone.
why am I taking the pain for it? You see, and I speak from a very personal experience. Look at the number of non-bank institutions that were there. Look at even the lifestyles.
22 savings and loans and financial houses collapsed.
Yes.
Over 350 microfinance collapsed. And then about 8 or so banks.
Yes.
And you guys were doing the right thing.
We're doing the right thing.
I want Joey says, look at the lifestyles of the
so when you were taking Uber, they were driving Land Cruiser.
The money is gone.
And now you should pay for it.
The money is gone. 2 examples.
I want to put this on record. My CEO has used 1 car. He registered in 2012.
Still riding the same car.
Still riding the same car. There's nothing wrong with it. The car is okay. It's fine. But the point is that others bought new cars every how many years?
For themselves, for their families, and for their girlfriends.
Yes. Then you say that my CEO who just...
What about the fact that contagion? So if the financial authorities hadn't blocked the leakage and done what they did, all of us would have suffered collateral damage. So even though you didn't do the wrong thing, saving the financial sector inures to everybody's benefit. So yes, you need to pay for that, because if there's no financial sector, if people don't take their money back to the banks, you're all screwed.
I would have agreed with you on this moral issue if they had collected even 50% of the money back.
So that's your problem.
You haven't collected the money. Then now you are billing those left to pay.
Let me ask another question.
Government could do more to collect that money. There's some level of collusion between the people who are supposed to collect it. I mean,
let me ask another question. In terms of the fund management companies, we interviewed Kwame Pionim and he said somebody has put his whole life investment in a fund management company, and the company has been mismanaged and the money has evaporated. He says print money and pay the person because it's not inflationary. The person earned, for example, you have somebody's pension funds. They work for 30 years. Put it in Gold Coast. You said Gold Coast has collapsed. They can't pay the money. He's saying that there's nothing wrong with the Bank of Ghana. When we use the word print money, it sounds scary, but essentially saying generate the money because this is earned money. In the same way that money evaporates, money can also appear.
How will it not be inflationary? Because
the money is not the type of inflation we have. It's not a demand pull inflation.
No. Let me tell you what.
It's a cost push inflation.
Let me tell you what.
So you can't tell me that by. You see, you need to differentiate between demand pull and cost push inflation. So our inflation is not because there are too many. There's too much currency chasing fewer goods. It's because the cost of what we produce is from outside. So we're always having pressure on our currency and leading then to price increases because the producer prices are always going up.
But you know why I disagree?
Explain.
Okay. The cost, the money you hold in cedis.
Yes.
There's always a dollar value. That dollar value is not determined here. It is determined by the market. Today, if there's 20 cedis, it has a certain dollar value. Tomorrow, if I give each of you 20 cedis, and we are all going to buy granules, somebody will be tempted to offer the lady selling granules a little bit more money.
Okay.
That is inflation.
No, but we can.
So it's very simple.
No, I can.
There's always a value of production that backs your currency. The more you produce,
but if somebody has worked for 30 years and put their money in a financial institution, and then you say the money,
but the money is still somewhere.
No, the money evaporated.
No. I'm coming. The only money that evaporated was equity funds.
Yeah, but when you listen to remember when they interviewed the former Nigerian governor of the Bank of Ghana, of his bank, talking about this same financial crisis that happened in Nigeria about a decade ago, he says people put money, hard work, and put money in banks. And overnight, the money disappeared.
Let me tell you
that's essentially what they were being told.
But the money is in the system. But the money is in the system.
The money disappeared because the money vanished from the institution and they couldn't pay you back. But somebody chopped the money.
But it's in the system. It's still in the system.
They didn't light a fire and burn it and burn the money.
The only money that evaporated.
Somebody bought a
money that evaporated.
But inflation is not a problem. Our inflation is coming down. Our inflation has been trending down. It's above below 10%. My question is, if somebody has earned, somebody has worked in the police, they've put 30 years of their savings in Gold Coast. Somebody has mismanaged the company is gone. You're saying that he should lose all that 30 years?
No.
Print money and pay him?
No, I'm saying, even if you pay him with money, that money has not disappeared. Go and collect it back.
Yes, but you have not dealt with my issue of print money and pay him.
Because
it will be inflationary. The only money that evaporated were equity funds.
We can agree to disagree, but Bernard, look at it this way.
This inflation issue you're talking about.
Bernard, look at it this way, right? The money we spend is backed by there's some real work that is done. When you work, and tomorrow, God forbid, your bosses take the revenue and run away, your work hasn't disappeared. It is your bosses who have chopped the money.
Yes.
The money is still in the system.
In the economy.
Now, there's an argument to say, but why should I suffer? I'll say, oh, no. It's fine. Pay Bernard. Right? Give Bernard his end of month salary. But make sure that you go and collect it from the boss.
Let's go back to the tax proposed quickly to end this. Yeah. So, COVID levy, it will affect poor people. Energy sector recovery, affect poor people. Sanitation levy. Financial tax cleanup, it affects rich people, but morally you have a problem with it. Last one is review of existing
It is the only tax that I have a moral problem.
Moral bias, yeah.
But it makes sense.
But it's practical.
Okay. And then there's also a review of existing road tolls.
Yes.
That's okay.
No. Existing road tolls, again, hits at... it's
everybody.
Hits at everybody.
So these are all going to affect, it's retrogressive. Let's go to but the government says there's a positive thing somewhere. They said something called Happy Fellow Ghanaians Tax Reliefs. Show me that slide. It's purple. And I just wanted to take... Yes. So first one is suspend income tax stamp payments. Beneficiaries will be small businesses. Number 2, suspend vehicle income tax, beneficiary trotros and taxes to reduce the cost of transportation. 3, Relief of 30% of corporate income tax for hotels and restaurants and education, arts and entertainment. And finally, a waiver of penalty of interest and accumulated tax. Thomas, surely this must be great.
These are targeted at smaller businesses and lower income people. This one is better. This is a way of redirecting income from the relatively well-off to the relatively less well-off.
Can I offer a different perspective?
So let me just finish. Thomas, you're saying so that the tax stamp one is for small businesses.
For small businesses, small businesses that use tax.
And then the vehicle income tax suspension, also taxi and tractor drivers. But this is the income they get from running?
That is assuming that the tractor drivers and the maids and the owners will transfer the gains to the passengers who are, relatively poor people who take public transport.
So if you're saying that tractor and taxi drivers will not pay their VIT.
Yes.
But their fuel price is going to go up. So they have to decide whether they would get a net benefit or net retrogressive.
Exactly. But no matter whether it's a net benefit, the fact that they are not paying the income tax puts them in a better position than if they were paying the income tax. So even if they are going to increase their fares, instead of increasing by say 30%, they might increase by 20%.
So this is progressive. This is good.
Yes.
What about the tax relief for 30% of corporate income tax for hotels, restaurants, education, arts, and entertainment?
That is because those are the people who have been directly affected by COVID.
So they don't have any money.
If you don't do that, you are killing off the sectors entirely.
So this is really nothing. And then the final is a waiver of the penalty on interest payments of accumulated. So like if you haven't paid your corporate tax or some of your taxes, the penalty has been waived.
Yes.
So you can pay.
Yes.
Is this far-reaching enough? Are these four policies far-reaching enough as tax relief?
Not really, but you can't have an ideal situation under the current circumstances.
Joe, you don't seem to think this is that wild.
Let me explain to you. Today, my petrol has gone up. Then you say, I shouldn't increase because at the end of the period, you will give me a tax relief. I'm a hotel, right? I'm making losses. You see, the problem with tax relief is that they require you to get work, earn money
before you even pay. So if you are not making any money, there's no relief.
Thank you. Yeah. So the hotels and co, they sound great. Nice sound.
They don't have any money.
They don't have any money. They're not making any profit.
There's no taxable income anyway. That's what Joe is pointing out.
So you better even close me so I go and sleep.
That's you see. Listen, it is.
But what are the alternatives? I mean, this is not an ideal situation.
Why can't government give them money? Why can't government give them money?
If you want to provide a stimulus, then give them money.
For hotels?
Yes. Because really, you're saying that the hotel that is suffering, that people are not coming, when they make a profit and they can pay tax, you will give them a rebate. The school that has made losses because the students sat at home for over a year, when they make a profit, you give them a rebate. I don't know, but if I own the school, this won't sound great. If I own the hotel, this won't excite me.
So this is
when you think you the money, where's the money coming from?
Go back to the slide. I just want to say something. Tax relief. So this is not. This doesn't do anything. You feel?
That's my point. Listen, is it a good, happy? It sounds very nice and good. Look at the item number 4.
A waiver of penalty and interest on accumulated tax arrears up to December 2020 to reduce cash flow challenge.
When the companies are suffering, how does a waiver help them?
We are suffering. But I
mean, so I'm just saying that as good as this looks, when you drill down and you put yourself in the situation, so you think that because of VIT, if tomorrow the fuel goes up, there will be no demand to increase.
Thomas, you've covered budget for a long time. Is this some sort of anticlimax? Because this is the first budget of the second term. And I don't know. Is it because the finance minister wasn't around? Or did he make any input? What are you getting?
My take on this thing is that this is a budget of attempted compromises. All right? First of all, the first thing was that, this is how I think government looked at it. The thing was that, look, we have to balance our books. That is number one priority. There's nothing that can compete with that in terms of our priorities. We have to balance our books. We don't have any fiscal space left. So we've agreed on that. So the next thing is, now how do we balance our books in such a way that it will have minimal damage on the masses, so to say, especially the poorer segments. So they now started looking for how they could achieve those things, but within the overriding context of the fact that we must balance our books.
Wow.
So when you get to a situation where, oh look, people will suffer if we do this, but if we don't do it, we can't balance our books, then the bottom line is then the people have to suffer.
Wow.
Because as for the fiscal space, there's just actually, I mean, there's no way out. You and I, we've just explained the situation. There is no way out of it.
But globally, we are told that we should forget about deficits because of COVID. Why are they trying to balance their books this year? Why don't they say, let's look for as much money as you can to help people, then we think about balancing the books later?
Because they can't borrow more because of that statistic about not growing the economy.
Oh, Lord.
Mm-hmm. We are between a rock and a very hard place. Because you see, listen, and this is my challenge with this budget, that it's a budget of lost opportunities. Is a wealth tax harder to collect, harder to implement, and will make people squeal? Yes. But do it. Take the hard decisions so that you can be softer on the consumption taxes.
Wow.
But the problem is that the wealth taxes will not be implemented because it's the people who will be taxed by wealth taxes
so government
who made the decisions.
But the government can't eat its cake and have it.
Thank you.
Wow. So we are back to square one.
I think we've lost an opportunity. This is the first budget in a new term. The mandate has been renewed.
So go for it.
Go for it.
What are you afraid of?
What are you afraid of? Be bold.
So it's a timid budget.
Thank you. It's a timid budget. It fails to be bold. It fails to be courageous.
Wow.
Yes.
Finance Minister, I hope you heard that. I've been speaking to Joe Jackson. He's recovered from COVID, so he doesn't feel anything again. He's a big man, bro.
I've seen the worst.
He wants to even break my table. We've run out of time. Toma here is the editor of the Grocery Business and Business Analyst. My name is Behadafle. Don't forget, the Point of View is brought to you by First National Bank. First National Bank, how can we help you? Please stay safe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Point of View is sponsored by First National Bank. First National Bank. How can we help you?